1988 on your shirt.
Yep. I'm an old man.
How 1988? When your first UFC was 1993, right?
And so to rewind even more, I was born into a combat family, so 4 generations of boxing. I grew up around my grandpa swinging on me, teaching me stuff, my dad and my uncles. And so I was always interested in martial arts and yoga. 88.
Yoga as well? Before?
Yeah. So this year is 40 years of yoga for me. I started when I was a little kid, yeah.
So your family was into yoga as well?
No. Maybe my mom a little bit. She was,
okay.
My mom's kind of hippie aerobics instructor.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, my dad, that whole side were, kind of combat oriented humans for a long time.
Yeah.
And so my cousin and I ordered this thing in Black Belt magazine, Gracie in Action. And we had heard about these Brazilian guys just choking people out, and we got the tape. Opened that tape up, put it in. Remember that one? Gracie in Action is basically the Gracie.
I used to, when I first opened my school, I used to basically give people copies of the VHS tape to educate them on how jiu-jitsu works.
Yeah, I tell everyone to see it, to find it online, because it's worth seeing, it's so inspiring. So there were no schools at the time. And so we just played around, did the moves, learned how to sprawl, learned the like this choke thing that we,
Yeah.
So I started then, and then
that's so like original, old school, like, and you're on the East Coast, which is crazy.
Philadelphia,
crazy compared to.
Yeah, and then within a few years, again, I was a child. Within a few years, Steve Maxwell, if you know Steve,
right?
I've known Steve since I was 2 years old because my mom was an aerobics instructor.
Okay.
And he was a fitness guy.
Yeah.
So he said, hey, like I think it was 1990 maybe, or 89 or something like that. He was like, hey, I got a bunch of guys, about 10 dudes. We're going to get together and do this thing that these Brazilians are doing. I was like, jiu-jitsu? He was like, yes. And I was in there. So that was the first like physical class I ever went to. But Steve was only a wrestler at that time. I don't even think he was a blue belt. So, so we went to the club, and there was 10 of us, 11 of us for quite a long time, and 1990-ish, I guess.
Wow, Fight Club days.
Yeah, I mean it was, and going back to Black Belt magazine, remember the Gracies put out a $100,000 challenge to anyone that could beat him, but before you actually got to a Gracie like Hoist's not going to fight anybody off the street.
Yeah,
they were like, feed him to Rick, feed him to Phil.
Yeah.
Like Ricardo, my brother.
Yeah.
And so we would end up fighting people, but with the point to make them students after. So you're not going to, punch them in the face. There's only one guy I went off on, and I never wanted him as a student in the first place, so I did hit him. I did it at the Gracie Academy, too. There was a guy, Gracie Challenge. They came in and...
So you moved from Philly to L.A.
Los Angeles, yeah.
Los Angeles to train with the Gracie family.
That's all I was here for yoga and for jiu-jitsu, but mostly jiu-jitsu. And I haven't been back here in 24 years.
24 years.
Yeah, so it's my first time back in 24 years. I've been pretty much everywhere else on the planet, and super happy to be back. I was in Hermosa Beach, where I spent a lot of my time last night, and definitely changed, but it's obviously still super cool.
Yeah.
So so I grew up, and then Elio Gracie was moving to Torrance with his sons and doing a teacher training program, and there was never one in America ever. That was the first teacher training program with the Gracies, and I'm there. So I was here for the first time when I was 16 years old in LA.
16 years old. Wow.
Dropped off.
How old was Rick?
He was a little bit later. Like I think he might have been.
See how much difference age?
Age 3 years younger than I am. Okay. Yeah. So he was.
But he's watching you. He's like, you're telling him what's going on.
Yeah. And I had he's an outstanding boxer. He thought that's all he was going to do, and then he started. He says he started much later, but he started the day I started. I started showing, whatever I knew, I tried to impart to him. Yeah. So for those first years, in the 80s. I went to high school, graduated in 93, but before I graduated, I did a summer out here, and, Hoist has always been super nice to us and the Gracies, So just trained. But
wow.
like I said, taking on the challenge matches.
They put you in front of the.
Yeah, it's crazy. I couldn't even imagine doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, back in those days, even later on, right? For me, it was like you did an intro class and you're trying to show that it works.
Yeah.
It's okay. Try to hit me. And we're doing. I don't know if you did those.
No, we did. Yeah.
When was it? For me, the early like 2000 when I started my gym in New Mexico. Yeah. And I was still doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, we still have an intro class that's just, pretty much the way, the way.
Close the distance, then, if you go to the ground in the guard or whatever too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was clinch, block the biceps.
Right.
We would do the front choke, how to like duck out of it, and then getting off the mount. Those are the 3 majors. Okay. Because you can like wow someone so much that they're like, I need to sign up. Mm-hmm. So we literally still do that. Elio Gracie put that together 100 years ago, literally.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
What were some of the names back in those days at the gym, at the Gracie Academy?
You mean competitor-wise, or
just overall, like just people that were around in those days at the gym, instructor-wise?
Lowell Anderson. I don't know if you remember Lowell. He was like one of the first brown belts that I ever saw. And I often tell people that like a purple belt was like a black belt back then.
Yeah.
You didn't see another purple belt. Now it's just like, we have so many qualified black belts. You get led to be a purple belt pretty quickly. And so Lowell was there. Richard Bressler, I know he was here. So Richard was here.
Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to see him later. I haven't seen him in quite a long time, so I'm going to put a choke on him.
Should have been the first.
He should have been the first to everything.
Everything, yeah. He was instrumental in the UFC, helping the UFC, Jorge Gracie getting established here, doing the whole Gracie Academy.
All of it.
You training, me training.
It's the truth. And I always say, too, I have a lot to thank Richard for, because I came here as a child, and I was like kind of awkward. Like, the Gracies were around me. I wasn't talking to them. I'm like, so he was always cool to me, showed me a couple moves like when he didn't need to.
Was kind,
yeah. So he made me feel more welcome immediately. So that's why I'm putting him in a chokehold later. No, I'll be happy to see him. Hey, there's really there are a lot of people that know the self-defense system, like Elio Gracie's self-defense system. He really knows it. He knows it in and out. So if you ever get a chance to take a private lesson with him, that's the stuff. I got
to do that.
Yeah, no,
I got to bring him out here too. When we talked, like I wanted to do it now. 100%. I have to do it.
Yeah, 100% I would do it. I've been trying to fly him out to Philly. He doesn't want to come. He's like, it's too cold,
too far.
Too much traffic. I'm like, all right, I'll have to come here.
So Kyle, the weather. Well, the weather's it's been kind of rainy, right?
Yeah,
it's colder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better than Philly right now.
Wow. Okay, so you moved to LA, and then you finished high school and all that, and then when did it switch? When did you get serious? When we were like, man, I can't stop thinking about this.
Quite frankly, the second I started, I had that thought.
Obsessed.
I was like, this is awesome. I'm never turning back, and I'm just going to keep training. I'll probably die on the mat, and I'm still like that.
Yeah.
There was a moment when I said, when I turn 40, I'll probably retire, and that didn't work. I'll be 50 in 2 years. That's probably not going to work either. So I'm going to figure it out, modify, and just keep on training.
You have Helio Gracie as a role model, right? Till the end.
Yeah. I mean, he was still. I worked out with Elio Gracie when he was in his 90s still. Just positional, moving around. I would try to get him. There's no way to get him,
He was still.
If he got on top, he would still attack ferociously.
Yeah.
He was the real deal, like the real deal fighter. And, I was honored to have all the time that we had with him. I would spend early morning. So, again, I grew up in Philly. I started training there. When the instructor program came about, I was ready to rock. Right after high school, I was like, I'm ready to go. And I spent more or less most of the 90s here in Los Angeles in spurts of like 3 months. Go 3 months, go back home, work, back and forth, some schooling, college, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a university where 3 month trimester at Drexel.
Okay.
And then in 3 months I would come here, and I would go back and forth. So that's what I did for.
That's how you did it.
In the last 3 years that I was here.
Keep the parents happy, right?
They didn't.
They didn't care.
Yeah, it was just such. Yeah,
the boxers and stuff.
Yeah, they were like, go do it. And you can relate with this. We were kind of like the first ones. first Americans to really be doing it. Maxercise was the first East Coast club before anybody, before the Gracie. There was nobody else in the East Coast. Henzo came after.
Right.
And so I felt like I was part of something super special, and I had a mission to help people on the East Coast. Go west, go to Brazil, go to Hawaii with my instructor Relson, and come back and show things as well as I can. So being a teacher was super important for me because I wanted to make sure I was giving the right stuff to the next generation.
I gotta try the Tatsu tea. We're talking.
Yeah.
So shout out. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, this is my new brand, Tatsu Tea, and it's a matcha performance beverage. So it has a little bit of caffeine in there from the matcha, and our major point of building this product is to replace an energy drink, or a coffee when it comes time to training. I'm gonna have mine too. So this gives you just an appropriate boost when you need it. But what's cool about it also has electrolytes and a vitamin boost as well. So you're getting a little bit healthy. Look how green that is.
Yeah,
super nice.
Man, it tastes really good.
And we modified it a little bit to combat the grassy taste of matcha. I love matcha, but it's not for everyone.
Right.
So basically what we say, it's our matcha is our fuel, not our flavor. So you don't really get that right away. And so you pick up something a little bit, better for you instead of, things that can potentially be harmful, which there's a lot of stuff coming out about it now. But, I grew up in a healthy household. My dad never let us have sugar or, things like that growing up. So I wanted to continue with a product like this. And, I was a huge matcha fan first. And then, I wanted something that was instant, crack a can, get it cold, drink it, go train 25 minutes later. So I'll do, I'll drink one in about 20 minutes. I feel, I go from like 48 to 25 because I feel energetic and I feel ready to rock. So that was the major point of it. And so we're seeing a lot of success with it, and like CrossFit gyms, TacFit, fitness, and just generally like my mom loves it too.
And the jiu-jitsu community, of course.
Definitely. I have I want to send a big thanks out to all the jiu-jitsu and even, some of these UFC fighters that have been drinking it. It's cool, and they're showing it online, and it's pretty cool. And this is an impossible sort of business to do. So all the help is it's definitely appreciated.
I love it. Tastes good. Yeah. I'm going to start carrying it at Açai Jungle Cafe. So Kevin can get some.
Yeah, we'll send some more out too.
Yeah, because of a lot of the energy drinks is just so much sugar and stuff in them.
Yeah, and the things that we don't know yet too. Yeah. So everything in there you can pronounce and look up, and it's just magically, combined from my partner's a formulator, so we just put it together very nicely.
Ties in with everything that you're about, right? Like health and wellness
and if I was going to get behind something or create something, I want to make sure it's going to help, not hurt.
So going back to your little bit of the story, like tell me about your car accident. Yeah. And what happened in the process, because you're getting good at jiu-jitsu, you're immersing yourself, coming to LA. Yeah,
and I was all ready for that plan. 2 days after my 17th birthday, making a left on a highway, 17 years old.
17 years old. Wow.
So T-boned, car pretty much came up in and touched me, broke my ribs, my face, my pelvis, had a bad head injury. And basically the doctor said, this jiu-jitsu thing's not going to happen anymore for you, And of course I didn't listen or believe them. I had to prove them wrong. So, bit by bit I healed up, and I started modifying my jiu-jitsu so it wouldn't be like when I was a kid, I could do a jumping triangle in a second. I could flip right into it on someone. But 17, after this thing happened, and when I got back on the mat, that wasn't an option anymore. So I had to be a little bit more controlled with my game and not take too much physical risk while, still controlling someone and I still wanted to win. I still wanted to compete. So, yeah, it was a big hit. I was, at that time, it was the Gracie Nationals and the Gracie Worlds were the biggest tournaments around. And I had one.
Gracie Worlds in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to Shaolin and some of those guys.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had some heavyweight matches. I mean, literally, I was in a heavyweight division because my teammates were, Shanji, Ribeiro, and Salo. So they were the light. I didn't have a division to compete in because they were in my. So I went to the heavyweight. That's where I compete against. I don't even know the wrestler's name.
Is it Jeff Monson at the time?
No, Monson would have been the last match. I had a wrestler, and then Babalu I competed against. Babalu. And then another gentleman, Wade Rome. Wade's a big dude. He's like a 300-pound guy. And I was...
remember Wade, yeah.
Yeah, he's a big dude. So, yeah. So that and then the Worlds came about in 96. So before all that, all the national and world...
The Worlds in the IBJJF Worlds in
started
Brazil.
in 96, yeah. So earlier than that. So, yeah. So me, I was national champ. I was a child in the adult division, too. So I won the nationals as a kid.
I remember you always being big.
Yeah,
your brother too.
Yeah. He was big and strong as a child, man. His nickname is the Animal, and everyone thinks it's from jiu-jitsu. It's from my dad when he was like 5. So he was like, this animal, he's eating too much. He's doing this. My brother was ripped as a baby. So, but he's awesome and highly technical on the mat. Great instructor.
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah.
And good partner in business. Yeah, so I had that decision. I was like, what am I going to do after this car accident? So, laying down, and I was immobilized, but I wasn't static in my brain.
You're sharing with me, and I could relate. You had difficulty, like, kind of processing things, learning things, like reading even, right? Some of those things.
Yeah, so when it was pretty, that was a hard one. I couldn't read. I couldn't read, comprehend after. Mathematics, fine, but reading and comprehension, I looked at a book and it looked like a different language. It looked like squiggly lines. And I went through therapy, and I went through a course at Princeton for speed reading. When I was one of the summer programs I was invited to, and that actually helped because the speed reading, you clump paragraph. You can read a paragraph in one shot, instead of reading individual words or individual letters, and it helped my brain. So it helped me just go down a page.
Reconnect.
Oh, yeah, and it took about 1.5 years or 2 years really to read again properly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then now I'm so paranoid. I do it every morning religiously. I have a book. I do my reading. I don't do anything else just to make sure I could still do it.
Man, I do the same thing.
Yeah. So it's what is that? It's over 30 years.
I was traumatized, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I used to read a lot when I was younger, and then the whole MS thing, and I couldn't comprehend. I would just read the word. Wasn't going in.
Yeah, and now it's okay.
Yeah, now it's good, 100%.
It's training. It's retraining pathways, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Just reconnecting and those neurons and everything.
Yeah, so that was a big part of it. Physically too, obviously, broken pelvis. That's a bad one to break, your sacrum and your pelvis.
Yeah.
So especially with the guard and yoga. So thankfully, I did understand yoga, and I had been practicing, and just proper mechanics and alignment too, just in movement.
Yeah, you have such a history, from the early days with the Gracies and Jiu-Jitsu in America to going to India. I remember seeing pictures of you in India, like these crazy, dirty rooms. I'm like, whoa.
It was amazing. I was just talking to my friend about it too. I got up and left. So again, yoga since I was little.
Yeah.
Always loved it.
Yeah.
And like my journey with jiu-jitsu, like I wanted to get my black belt from Helio Gracie and Relson Gracie. That was nobody else. I wasn't thinking of anything else. Patabi Joyce is the founder, and he passed many years ago, of the Ashtanga yoga system. And I was like, I used to follow him all over the United States, wherever whenever he was here. And then I went over to India a few times to live there for, more than 6 months of my life.
Whereabouts in India?
In Mysore, India, like southern India.
Southern India.
Yeah. Wow. So I just plopped down there, lived in the back of someone's house. And I did 2 things while I was there. So, like, I practiced more or less like 6 o'clock in the morning, done by more or less 8, and you have the rest of the day. And I was always a fan of the history of wrestling, and I looked for Indian wrestling. And the first day, literally the first day that I landed, we went to the market. My friend and I went, and we saw a guy with cauliflower ear, and I like knew the word for wrestling. And someone said, "Yes, wrestling."
Is it Dangal?
No, Gusti.
Gusti.
Yeah,
Gusti.
and he was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And the guy with him spoke perfect English. He's like, "Oh, you're a wrestler?" I was like, "No, I do jiu-jitsu, but it's like wrestling." They're like, "You got to come by practice," which, traditional Indian wrestling is a very closed, closed to neighborhoods, closed to states, and not to outsiders. I don't know that many people that have ever gone and wrestled in India, And so, yeah, every day I wrestled straight, and I showed them a little jiu-jitsu, but mostly, I did 6 months of my life, I just wrestled in India.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
I would going back to that 3-month thing.
Yeah.
Go away for 3 months. So I went 3 months, and then another time 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Wonderful experience. A lot of what's cool about it, the way they teach the wrestling is very similar to how we teach jiu-jitsu. Very like detailed and elbows in and slow, and then there's a lot of fitness associated with it. And you said you saw me with a dirty,
so dirty.
They wrestle in red clay.
Red clay.
No mats. So your feet dig in. It's a whole different, situation. The room is about a room this size with a bunch of people.
Is it indoors?
Indoors, yeah, indoors, windows, and it's almost like an altar. It is an altar at the end. So when you walk in, there are flowers all over. It's super, it's super interesting and old. And then you just mess it all up, and then they, at the end, they'll clean the mats, they'll turn it over, flowers again, and ready for the next day. And I wish the walls were padded. It was stone.
I think you sent me a picture, or I saw it somewhere. Of the walls. It's
stone. Well, you want to hear a funny story? So, wrestling there was a gentleman that the coach was trying to keep me away from. Big guy, just a big guy. I might have been like 180 or something at that point. This guy's way over 240. He looks like a big guy. All these wrestlers grow up wrestling, so they could be like 3 years old, 5 years old. So everybody's able. They were all good. And this guy just had his eye on me, like, let's get this far. Oh, yeah. I got the feeling they were like, this guy's like a drug dealer. And the drug was alcohol. Oh. He would sell alcohol in the bag because there was no alcohol there. And so he would sell it, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. Calls me out one day to wrestle, right? And then I could wrestle a little bit, and he got frustrated and just flung me into that wall. Oh. And I just, my Philadelphia brain kicked in, and I got him. He was so big, I was like, taking him down might be difficult. I literally dropped guard, did an arm drag, went to his back, and put this.
You choked him.
I choked him unconscious.
Wow.
I was so mad. Man, he just bashed my head against the wall.
Broken your head.
And I still think any sort of impact, I get triggered from that car accident, because that is the thing that put me out. Yeah. So I got physically, I got angry and put a choke on him. He was like pretty much dead in the. Yeah. Just imagine, it's dirt in his face. Yeah. Got up off of him. Everyone in the room was really funny. They're like, "We got to get you out of here." They literally got me out, got all my stuff, and took me out because they felt like
he was going to do something to you.
Yeah. But he woke up. I don't think he even knew what happened. So anyway, that's a funny one. Wow. Yeah. But anyway, he rattled me against those walls because he just,
Wow. What about like skin stuff, or did you get sick from food or anything?
Yeah. The last time I was there, I got pretty sick, and I lost a lot of weight, and I had to come home about a week or two early. Yeah, it was bad. But the rest, I was fine because I was just not eating what they told you not to eat, bottled water, keep clean, all that sort of stuff. I didn't get skin anything, no. No, okay. It's actually, so you go in, you wash yourself, and when you leave, you wash yourself. There was, like a, I don't know, water bucket. Put it over your head. You have to wash yourself before you get on the mats. Okay. So in that way, it was actually,
Yeah. Pretty
very clean.
Clean, yeah.
Yeah, it was all super clean. It just happens to be in natural dirt.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
But the food, something got me at the end, and then it was pretty bad. And that lasted for a second when I got home too. So
wow. Yeah. Yeah, I took my wife on her 40th birthday to India, and usually I do jiu-jitsu wherever I go, But for whatever reason, I was like a little bit worried about, I don't know, catching some funky thing. I don't know. I just like, I'm too busy. I can't get sick, you know?
I don't know if there's much. I mean, probably now there's a lot of jiu-jitsu, but
there's some, yeah. We were in like in New Delhi. We were in like Mumbai, of course, you know. But
now
there's some, yeah.
Now there's a club in Mysore, India for freestyle wrestling, like, you know, to compete Olympics, or there's a center there where they have actual mats.
The town.
Yes.
Where you from?
Mats.
Where you live.
Wrestling shoes. Yeah, I'm saying to train for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that movie Dangal?
I did not know.
Oh my God, it's like a Disney movie.
Oh,
I think it's like the biggest. Was like the biggest movie. Just take whatever money it made. Amir Khan. It's a Amir Khan movie.
Yeah.
It's based on a true story of this dad. He get to having girls. He was a wrestler, and his dream was for to have a boy to continue on his legacy. Right. He wasn't able to finish because he had to start a family. This that, and he kept having girls. And then one day his girls beat up some boys just because they were picking on him. And he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "This, and that." It's like, okay. And then a medal's a medal, you know. So he started training his girls. Okay, no, tomorrow you start training, and then they ended up becoming like, you know, getting medals for India and bringing that deep tradition of wrestling in India back.
I have to see this. Yeah.
Yeah. It used to be on Netflix, and now it's hard to find. But it's like, man, amazing movie.
Yeah, my daughter's tough, man. She's 8, super tough.
How many kids you have? Just one daughter.
Yeah,
okay.
So she's been training jiu-jitsu with me since she was born.
Yeah,
and then she doesn't even know what she's doing. And then now she wants to wrestle.
Just playing, that's it.
Just to, you know. So she takes class once or twice a week, and I don't push it. I don't require it, but she just wants to do it. So I love it.
I remember back in the day, so you competed a lot in grappler's quest and stuff too on the East Coast, right?
My brother did.
Your brother did more.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So
because you were before that a little bit.
Yeah, that's what people.
Quest.
Yeah. So I did, you know, more or less almost 17 years, but it wasn't as established at that time. I was doing one-offs. People were flying me out as a purple belt because I was one of the only ones in the country to fight the other purple belts that were across the country.
Right,
so so it was like a one-off super fight sort of thing. I did a lot
before social media. Before I mean, there weren't even
the
publications.
Were that big. They would have to. Yeah. It's no joke.
Yeah, VHS era.
But yeah, so that's mostly how I competed. You know, Pan Am's was around early.
The first one was like in 96.
It was all around the same time, yeah.
LA, Irvine or something like that. And then 97, they had them in Hawaii, 97, 98.
Yeah.
And 99 was in Miami.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Man, they had it was supposed to be 2 days back in those days, and something happened, I think, with the venue.
Yeah.
And they made it in 1 day.
Oh, really?
And so we ended up doing it starting in the morning and then finishing at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, we had a lot of people go down. I remember that one. My cousin competed in that one as a blue belt. Yeah, now they're all black belts.
Yeah. There's some like we went, started having them in Orlando as well.
Yeah.
And I remember like there's the pictures of the line, the weigh-in lines, right? And you know the day before weigh-ins, right? And everybody that's in those pictures and those lines, they're all black belts now.
Yeah.
For you
and they were little kids.
But for you to stay in the line to be that committed to something, like you're like. Pff.
I tell people, you know, competing is not just going out there and fighting. You have to be able to exist on the bleachers for hours and sleep if you need to, rehydrate. You know, have a little like honey packets.
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole process that you have to be able to deal with to get to that next match.
Yeah. And then I remember early on you had your website. It was like I think it was it Jiu-Jitsu and Yoga? Was it Jiu-Jitsu Matrix?
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu Matrix. So that was a newsletter. Yeah, that I did probably 2000.
I remember seeing it on the forums and just like everyone. It was really yeah.
Yeah, it was big.
And it was really smart.
Yeah.
It was really smart.
Well, I had, I chose as a backup for jiu-jitsu digital marketing. So it was very, very new, and it was email marketing was very, very young in the 90s. It was non-existent.
Yeah.
So it always fascinated me, and it was some like consulting job I was able to do while I was on the road or competing or whatever. I could just write or build these things out, and then I did it for myself. So that one literally went from 100 people to 100,000 people within couple years. And then I would just send out monthly my ideas in jiu-jitsu. It was very hard to upload video way back in the day.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was one of the earliest with videos up there, you know. Yeah, at least black belts, it was one of the earliest.
Yeah, I remember reading
I should start sending one out again. Social media took over, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I want to bring it back, but I want to keep it interesting. So sometimes I think it's interesting to get an email from someone you follow or whatever, because maybe they put up so much social during a month.
Right.
Just something that summarizes the month study, because there are times when I'm obsessed with a certain move or a certain series, but maybe you'll get one of my videos online. You won't get the other one. So maybe a way of summarizing all of those. That's what I was thinking of. And it's not too hard to do. But it's jiujitsumatrix.com. It's still up. So
still there.
People still go on there and you can still download stuff.
Amazing. Why Jiu-Jitsu Matrix?
Oh, it's funny. So I've been doing yoga since I was little. And one time I was competing and I was warming up and I was doing yoga backbends, which looked like the Matrix when the bullet went over his nose.
Right.
I was going back and forth and back and forth. And then one guy was like, "What's up, Matrix?" You know, this. And then someone else said it, and I don't know, it kind of stuck. And then the other side of me, I like tech. So I've always, instead of, I don't know, partying after competitions or whatever, I was on the computer learning how to code, or I was always on a computer. So I did one of those two things. So it just kind of stuck. And I went with it. I thought it was interesting, and I just went with it.
I got to ask you, like, what do you think of the world today? We're past that point, huh? Of the technology.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Are we in the Matrix now?
Yeah, I think we're here now with all this AI stuff. Like, think about it. Something you see online, you don't just take it for what it is. You have to question it. Is it real or not first? So that question goes through your mind. So you have to get through that veil, that barrier, and then, and then take in the information. You just question. It's a different world. Whereas before, if you saw it, that really happened,
It trips me out, just the movie in the 90s that, it was before like all the cell phones and everything else.
Crazy.
And how it's like, here we are, and we're just so immersed into computers and cell phones
it's
and technology.
Good and bad. My partner over there, Mike, he said he still likes VHS tapes and keeping things simple. I'm actually the opposite. I do like tech. I really do. I like organizing my world, having a digital assistant, things like that, and having things automated.
Yeah.
Really like it. Takes a lot of maintenance, but not much maintenance, but I'm saying it takes maintenance. But I do like it. So I don't want to take that tape and pop it. I just want to find it online and watch it. Instant gratification in that sense.
It's much faster, right? With all what's that? That Microsoft has that Copilot now.
Oh yeah.
I went to one of their demonstrations. It was nuts.
Yeah, we see a lot of new stuff, and it's all useful. Does it make us lazy? Is the question.
I did my friend sent me my podcast in Spanish. I got to play this for you.
Is it you?
It's me with somebody else.
Yeah.
And he just put it in. He's like, check it out.
And it's you and your lips are speaking Spanish.
It's actually really good. Really, like you can't even, I don't know.
All right, we're going to translate this one in Portuguese. Okay.
So from pole dancing to the mat. Yeah, what's your name?
And that was all in English. That's incredible. All right, we have to do this one. I'll be like, no, I speak fluent Portuguese, Italian.
Yeah, for sure.
Not a big deal.
So it's here, right? It's like what?
That's incredible.
Just a little app, boom, put it in, drop it in, it does it.
And just think about it too. Like when we post stuff, and we're only speaking English, we cut off, most of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put it into, I see Mr. Beast does that.
Yeah. He's actually the one that he was copying.
Okay.
Yeah. He has it in Spanish now.
Yeah.
His things.
He has, Mr. Beast in every language in every country. It's cool.
Yeah. Where do you think we're going to be in 10 years, 20 years?
That is a great question.
Do you follow Ray Kurzweil?
I do not.
Okay.
I do know that it may be better for us as athletes in the future because of healthier things that we can put in our bodies, but also, we're involved in a lot of the, we have Penn Medicine, we have all these great hospitals in Philadelphia, but orthopedics.
Man, this is really good.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Tatsuti.
You'll be ready to go round 2, TACFit part 2 today.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the bionic parts that are going to start going into our bodies that are not these, huge joint replacements.
Mm-hmm.
These are subtle pieces that they can replace now with, 3D printing and all that. I look forward to not feeling broken when I'm older.
Yeah.
So I'm excited there. And there are a lot of other things that I'm excited for. Just integration with ecosystems in tech, meaning like your phone will work with your iPad, with your, like Apple has an interesting ecosystem, but for something like this, like a podcast, like everything just works together nicely. So that part of it I'm really looking forward to is that you don't need the wires with a setup like this. It's interesting. There's a bunch of different rigs that you can play around with now. So things like that is making what we do easier and the creation of content a lot easier,
Yeah. So you're positive on all the changes.
Have to be, yeah.
You have to be,
I mean,
right?
you need to be
it's a
concerned.
choice.
And there are a lot of people out there that are concerned and they're voicing it and they're major people. So I feel comfortable with that. AI,
Mike's going to stay with the VHS tapes though.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. They just go bad after a certain amount of years.
Yeah,
That's the only issue.
Just trying to slow it down.
It's a process, right? Like just pressing the rewind button, and it's like slows down time a little bit.
That's true. I remember too, like you talk about back in the day, popping the tapes in. And do you remember how some of the like Mark Lehman?
Yes,
yeah,
the remixes.
He used to like send them around, copy them at his house.
Yeah. He got banned from ADCC because it was.
Yeah, he was up there. Well, I remember. I used to be up there with him. He set his camera up. He would be there. He would go compete or something, but the camera was going.
Yeah.
Way ahead of his time, and just slowing it down. But I remember like slowing it down. You would see like, it wasn't pixelation, but it was whatever. It was distortion. You couldn't understand what was going on, where the hand was going.
So he would break it down,
No.
But he would those tapes with the tapes, broke it down.
But I'm saying I had other tapes of maybe my
competition,
but I couldn't see exactly what they were doing because it sucked.
Quality.
Now digital, man, there's tape on everyone. Nothing's new.
Live, right? Live.
Nothing is new. Look at let's just say like leg locks, right? Everyone's a leg locker. 10 years ago, no one was a leg locker. Only. And that's because of media, and now you can watch people succeed with a move in a tournament. You get more confident. Use it. Train and use it.
Yeah.
Now so many people do it, and what's coming. It's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah. People ask me like what the difference is, back in the day compared to like now, and it's like just the speed of just knowledge, right?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day too, like you would have to learn from the actual person.
Yep.
And then it was like very secretive too, right?
Yeah.
Like the different gyms and different,
Yeah, we kind of
teams.
broke that, my brother and I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we used to kind of like if we were showing something, I was like, no, do it. I just want you to be a better training partner for me, be better yourself.
With
like
each other?
Oh, definitely with each other.
Right.
And also with our closer training partners. But
Okay.
I would just show
Well,
anybody.
yeah, and Philly, there was a nice culture there. You guys cross-trained with each other, right? No?
I mean, yeah. Really, everybody in Philly came from more or less the same place.
Okay.
So kind of
So that's why it was like a family, like in a way. Everybody was cool with each other. Pretty cool.
There wasn't like dojo storming and stuff like that because everyone kind of came. But what I'm saying is like no one would hold secrets.
Okay.
But certain people did, and I just never thought that way. I just want everyone to excel because if you're not attacking me with the best stuff, I'm not going to learn the best defense, the count. Right. You're not going to play the game at a high level. So if you keep it from everyone, that's so going back to that Jiu-Jitsu Matrix, I got like threatening emails back from some Brazilians and then some Americans.
Those are the days.
Yeah, they're like, why are you showing this? This is how we feed our family. You can't show this for free on the internet, So I got a lot of those, how dare you? I'm just going to keep on doing it. And I met so many people around the world because of that newsletter. You know, one of our oldest schools is in Aruba. And I shot a video. I sent it out on the newsletter. They responded. They said, hey, are you in Aruba right now? I was like, yeah. There were a couple blue belts. And they said, would you like to meet? I was like, I'll teach you a class. I don't care. Like, where are you guys? And I just went, taught for free, and just hung out. And eventually they started a little affiliate school, and it got bigger. And now Gregory owns the school there now and trains some killers. I mean, Aruba's, yeah. He's the top dog on Aruba, you know, on that island. But it came from the newsletter. They just contacted us back, and we just happened to be there and connected with people around the world. Our school in Ireland, very similar thing.
Amazing.
So that's what's cool about tech. You never know. You know, someone may see this, may meet a new person. So I'm positive about it, but it has to be monitored and it has to be regulated so it doesn't get out of control.
The Terminator and the
cyborgs doing jiu-jitsu, like cyborg division.
Skynet taking over.
Bionic jiu-jitsu people.
Yeah.
It's I have faith that'll be okay.
Do you remember Scott Sonnen?
Who?
Scott Sonnen, the TacFit founder, RMAX International.
Yeah. He was from Philly, right?
He was from Washington State.
Sorry, I'm thinking of someone else, but
he was in the early days, right? He started also in like the 94, 95, something like, or 93. No. He was a Sambo guy.
Okay.
But he did all this, you know, he lived in Russia and he like learned all these like things that really work like for health wise, right? And everything else and performance and stuff. So he newsletters and videos, early days.
Yeah, early.
And, you know, he has a following around the world. Like downstairs, there's, you know, Nicola came from Italy, Nicola Orlando. And so there's like a group, Italy, Spain, like all over the world, Asia too,
so cool.
Right? Just from him, those early days.
Yeah.
And then the stuff worked, obviously, so.
Yeah, the email is still a very strong way of connecting. You know, it could be annoying too. People get off of email lists all the time. But if it's like you authentically go there, opt in, all that sort of stuff, and you're getting what you ask for, what is advertised, email lists are great in that way. But, you know, just like email blasting people, I hate that sound. That's terrible stuff. But when you use technology to build community, that's what it's about, you know.
That's what it's about, yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Like real authentic, like communication with
Yeah, now I'm gonna start that thing back. I'm gonna think about that.
That was a special thing, Jiu-Jitsu Matrix. I remember it was really smart and it was in the early days. There wasn't a lot of content out there.
No, there really wasn't.
And it was really smart, and I remember just appreciating it, you know.
Yeah, it started in 2000. Because you know why I started it?
The same year I started my school, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
It's in Mexico.
I was traveling out here, and I had some private lessons and some students that I wanted to keep in contact with and tell them, like, oh, this is what I'm doing here, just to connect. And I did it through email. And I remember, very early days of email. It was archaic. It would take half an hour to get an email from one place to another. But I would describe the moves or what was going on, text, not a video, right? And so I gathered about 100 people, right? I'd send it out, this is what's going on. And then I got to the point where I couldn't send out more than 100. So I had to figure out a way. And so I used the outside email service. I was one of their first users. I was one of their first 10 or so users. And put a form up online. I didn't know how to do the rest of the website at that point, but it was really simple. It said Jiu-Jitsu Matrix, enter the matrix or something like that, and just your email. And I just gave out stuff there, and then it went from that 100 people that I was just communicating, and then all my other friends around the country or world would pop on there, and I'd be able to send them basically what's going on or the move of the week or day or whatever it is.
Connect more. Yeah.
Now I have to be a TikToker to do that, and I'm not doing it.
I tried, man. I tried TikTok for a second, and I couldn't do it. It was too much.
I did dedicate my, to more posting on Instagram.
Good
and
job.
I do, yeah. And it's especially because of this too, because
you have to.
I'm having fun with it. I do the tea time with Phil, just talk,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out ways that I would authentically give something that someone would appreciate or need, instead of just like, look at me. I want to make sure that whatever I'm saying actually helps people. And it did. So I got some good feedback on
Amazing.
that. So it's a nice way to pair, a new product with on my page,
Awesome. Awesome. I was going to ask you, how did your gym start? Balance MMA.
So Balance, 2002, we started it. And the gym that I was at, everyone was kind of going their different ways, and moving and all that sort of stuff.
Steve Maxwell had his gym.
Went on the road, lived all over the United States.
Yeah.
He did what he did was cool. He's gotten to what is it? I don't know. He like lived in every state. What are those?
I know what's
not a Winnebago, but pretty much that.
But he
he went from
kind of like what was that show Kung Fu?
Yeah, that's
right?
what he did.
Yeah,
he wandered the United States, but he is truly gifted as a instructor. Both in fitness and jiu-jitsu. So so he went his own way, and then we took the Gracie affiliation, opened Balance Studios, and I opened Balance Studios for yoga and jiu-jitsu at the same time. So I was able, so half of it, kind of like your gym downstairs, parts were dedicated to different things. And then over the years, more yoga studios opened up. So I didn't really have to do that. In the beginning, I was the only Ashtanga instructor in Philly and kind of the East Coast at that time. And then there became more instructors, so I had less of a mission there. And then the jiu-jitsu took over anyway. People were piling into the yoga area, destroying my yoga thing.
The UFC, the popularity of the UFC and everything.
I think so, yeah. Popularity.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah. And I was talking about him the other day, and pretty much anytime he has somebody and he talks about jiu-jitsu, we see in our back end that it spikes. People start looking up jiu-jitsu, and when you do that, it's like jiu-jitsu in your area. They go, okay, let's see Phil's site. They click on it. We get a lead, and anytime he talks about jiu-jitsu for a couple, I swear.
You've seen, look at that.
100%, yeah. Wow. So that's what's good about it.
Shout out to Joe Rogan for
shout out and what I said on my Instagram post. I'm like, any jiu-jitsu instructor in America or around the world should send him a basket of fruit or whatever, just a big thank you.
Wow.
Because what he's doing is huge, and from what I'm seeing, he is the biggest advocate for jiu-jitsu that has ever existed. So his voice is very powerful. So, people should not forget that, because when your mats are filled, you're eating well, you're living well, it's not just you. You know what I mean? It takes a group to really push the mats, and then finding the right place. So shout out to Joe Rogan. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Lex too. He does it all the time. So
Lex Friedman's one of your black belts,
he's
right?
One of our black belts. Yeah. And he's always bringing jiu-jitsu people on too.
Yeah.
I don't have the math on that, but I can guess, people are definitely, but the Rogan thing, cause you can see the
spike.
You can see the spike. Yeah. It's super cool, but Lex does a great job. I actually just watched a whole podcast of him and a gentleman in the Amazon. I don't know.
Amazon.
Yeah, you got
a jiu-jitsu guy?
No, he's not.
What was?
I don't think he trains, but
okay,
you got to go in there and look.
Okay,
you just got to watch it.
Just a random person from the Amazon?
No, it's a gentleman that he's a scientist.
Scientist.
Yeah. So
Brazilian guy.
I don't know his background. No, he's not Brazilian. I think he's American.
Oh,
but yeah.
But he lives in the Amazon for.
He studies, that's
in the Amazon.
Yeah, he's back and forth.
Interesting.
Yeah, you just I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Just go watch it. It was a good one.
What's the name?
It's on the Lex Friedman. It's literally the last one.
Oh, the last one.
Yeah, the very last one. So I couldn't tell you the guy's name. That's how much I paid attention. But,
it is good.
Yeah. I also so to be clear, I watched it very late at night, and I was watching pieces of it. So
okay. All good.
That was super interesting.
I can't believe we finally got you out here, man.
Yeah, 24 years. It's really crazy.
It's amazing. Robert Miller's been trying to get you out here for, as long as I've known Robert. More. Yeah. When are you coming on? Every so often I started messaging you.
Yeah.
Because he'd be asking me.
And then I was scheduled right before the pandemic. So I stopped touring and doing jiu-jitsu because of my daughter. I was like, all right, I'm getting old. My dog, I'm 40.
Yeah,
I have a little one, and I wanted to be around, you know. So I chose to buy a building, start a new school block for my house. So that was my, you know, that's what I wanted to do instead of traveling. And then she grew up a little bit, and I was like, okay, now I can actually get out there and do it a little bit more. It's nice to, you know, reach out and teach around the world. And then this pandemic hit. So I had 21, 22 scheduled seminars that I had to scratch them right off. And then only recently I haven't really gotten back to it the way I used to. I mean, I used to be on a plane every week, like teaching somewhere, but I want to get back to it. And what's nice is that even the beverage, it takes us to all these towns, and you know, I can teach and hang out with my friends, and so it's cool.
Gives you another reason, right? You're doing multiple things.
Yeah. So, so I opened that school, but you know, traveling around the world, I had fun and met a lot of cool people. And everywhere I go, that's why I was watching your wrestling class down there, because my eyes are still open. I want to be a sponge still until the day I die, and I want to learn all these tricks. And we have this unique opportunity to be around experts in other areas too. So in the grappling or combat arts, you can't learn everything, can't know everything, can't contain it. And the second you master it, you forgot something else. So it's, you know, it's an ongoing thing. So everywhere I go and I watch people move, and I watch their movements, and, you know, I try to learn. So all my wrestling friends, I go, you owe me one move. I was like, show me. I want to see one little piece. So if they
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
When I talk to you, like you're still passionate about it. You love it.
Oh yeah, no,
like
I
you're
definitely.
you're going downstairs and you're watching the guys doing the stuff, and I'm like, that's it. That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's, you know, because it's unique to a human too. Like their arms, their body, you know, like what trick are they choosing, and what, you know, what facilitated something, like being able to grab a knee or go to a move. So because it ultimately comes down to temperament, speed, body type, things like that, over the general foundation of jiu-jitsu or even Muay Thai or even boxing.
Right.
Everything has a foundation, and then it branches into specialties. You know, someone who's very quick can fire to your like Jordan Burroughs, for example. He's lightning speed.
I see making a post to Jordan Burroughs. I'm like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, but he's one of the top that have ever done it. You know.
Is he the most accomplished freestyle wrestler?
Yeah,
American
I
freestyle wrestler.
believe he's most medals ever, most accomplished wrestler ever. So, 100% super nice guy, and showed me a couple tricks that I actually use now. Because we moved around a little bit. Like, I'm not moving around with Jordan Burroughs. Like, moving around playing, right? But I was like, all right, what should I do? And he showed me like a couple moves. I'm like, wow. Just the most subtle, small little moves. And I'm like, I'm going to apply these this week. And then I get to the guys that don't know what's going on, and I put my shoulder, and I did a move. And they're like, you're training with Jordan Burroughs every day? I'm like, no, just show me one move. So, but I'll take it and I'll run, you know?
Yeah.
You know, Olympic gold, I'm listening, you know? And often, like, everyone asks me, like, when is he fighting MMA? Because he's like, you know, he'll pop in the gym, he'll say hi. You know, he's not training jiu-jitsu, not yet, if he's out there.
He's so marketable, and I don't think I don't know, whatever, teach their own, right? But as far as everybody fighting MMA, like a lot of the wrestlers that, you know, I came across, like they wanted to keep going and competing and stuff, and being so accomplished as he is.
Well, a lot of them too, it was the only path.
Right.
Now with social media, he built a following.
Right.
He can sell wrestling for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Commentating, he's amazing. He has that job. You know what I mean? And he has a new gym where he's teaching, you know, a wrestling gym.
Yeah,
so you can and then, you know, there's no indication of him retiring. So hope he does it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice growing up. So I always say, like, it's a privilege growing up around the people I grew up around early, some of the best boxers on the planet. When I was a child, you know, seeing them, and, you know, like my uncle was on the boxing commission in Vegas. He was also Mike Tyson's lawyer for a couple of Tyson's things.
Yeah.
You know, like, we were pretty close to the best, you know, for the past, you know, we were in the same city as Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
You know.
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, he is the real Rocky Balboa. Yeah, that's what we always say.
No, but just the you know, just that movie, right? And putting Philly on as far as for boxing and just the whole the story, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and just I don't know, being a privilege growing up, you know.
Yeah.
I was with Hoist around the UFC times.
Yeah, it's
you know, the
amazing.
early ones, and seeing all that, I took for granted when I was then. I was like, oh, he's just fighting, and now I'm not sure if you saw him on Rogan. He was just recently on Joe Rogan. It's a great one. I definitely highly recommend. Yeah, and you get a sense of that journey a little bit, you know. And what's cool is that like a lot of things he was talking about, I was there. It's cool. I was like, wow, I remember that one and that one. So that's a great interview.
What Gracies in those early days stood out to you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which Gracies?
So I'll tell you a secret here. So I was so young that I literally thought the Gracies were superhumans. And I mean, when I tell you, like, I believed if I turned my head away, like Hoist was floating and flying, like superhuman somehow, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously over time I grew up humans and
They're people.
But they stood out, you know, I was like, oh, they can beat everyone, this whole family. Like I went out to dinner.
That's how it was though. That's how it was.
Yeah.
They were superhuman. They would like just the name Gracie.
Yeah. I mean, the way they are different than every other family on the planet is that no matter what it is, doesn't just have to be fighting. You challenge one of them, you know, any of them. Elio Gracie, you challenge like, you know, I used to have folding contest of, this is the Gracie Academy. You would get, you know, it was really nice. It was one of the nicest places, but you get, you know, your towel, shower. And Elio Gracie in the morning would be folding the towels, but he would fold them perfectly. And then if I was folding next to him, of course I was judged. Like, what are you doing? Why is there a crease here? You know, it was imperfect. Elio Gracie had the perfect fold. So it was like any challenge.
Everything was competitive.
A challenge. I think more personal challenges, not competitive with another person, but like, I can do this.
Excellent.
You know what I'm saying? Like challenging yourself, being competitive with yourself. So Hoist is definitely like that. He does, if you watch the Rogan interview, he talks about some of the things that he did recently. So it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I thought that they were all superhumans and, you know, there are many fighters over that period of time too. There's endless amount of people that I can name, but they were all inspiring, you know. And especially when you see what else people are going through and you know that, and what people see is the smile you're putting on and your best, but what you're going through in the background, we see it as coaches, we see it as friends of fighters. That's the piece that amazes me. Like no matter what, people will go out and perform no matter what, put a smile on, but you know, maybe something in their life's not so great. You know, you would never knew that. So that's something to be admired, a person that could just put things to the side momentarily and go out and do their job.
Yeah. 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 The Gracie family, I mean, UFC.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing the UFC from the early days, first couple UFCs, like first through what? About 4. Yeah. UFC 1 to 4. And what it is now, you know, being behind the scenes. I was a little kid poking my head. I met the Huron and Henner Gracie when they were children. That's where I met them, actually at the UFC in Denver.
Wow.
And they were these little, you know, little kids just like
they're out on the Gracie
around.
train, right, too?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. And just seeing there are a lot of famous pictures that were actually taken there. One of them was all the Gracies. They had them in the room in their
jumpsuits.
Yeah, that jumpsuit. And I was behind the camera. I was like, this is a great picture, and they, you know, so it was pretty cool and very historic. But it, you know, it set the stage for what is, you know, going on now. These super athletes fighting in the UFC.
Yeah,
way different.
Yeah. Did you ever fight MMA?
No, I had a father who was very much against it. So like I said, we grew up in boxing. Yeah. And he was like, you boys are not doing that. You know, look at my brother. He could have killed everyone.
Yeah.
What's funny is that like
you guys are
UFC
so tough.
fighters go and train with my brother. My brother's 45.
Yeah.
He still holds his own with all of those guys still. And Like I'm talking about people travel from all over. They want to work out with him. I don't spar anymore. I'll play with Muay Thai, but I don't do any heavy sparring anymore. I stopped when I was 38. That's probably too old too. But I took on the challenges in school, and I did the earlier. I don't know if you remember. We're in LA. Remember all those weird fights they used to have?
Challenge matches, yeah.
No, like pitted like the cages put together with shoestrings. I don't know if you remember that stuff. They used to just get two people and go. I did that a couple times.
Okay.
Where the one I did, and all my friends
through the Gracies, or no,
just crazy people in LA. Get the kid from the Gracie Academy to fight.
You represented jiu-jitsu?
No, it was just fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, the Gracies didn't even know we were doing it. We had to sneak. We had to sneak around and go do it.
Okay.
I just wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Where they were like, we're not going to fight yet. We're going to do this. But anybody came in that academy, beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Or just prove that you need jiu-jitsu. Like I said, there was only one person I ever punched like bad, and the guy went. What he did, he actually faked me out for a sec. He went high and went low to my stomach, hit me in the stomach, and I got triggered. I was like, took him down. I actually got yelled at for punching him and like opening his face up.
Wow.
By the Gracies, because that wasn't the point. The point was take down, put a choke on, they tap out, they sign up. That was the trick.
Yeah.
So, Pop never really wanted that.
Yeah, because back in those days, it was so interconnected. Like Valetudo, you were representing jiu-jitsu in a way.
Yeah, but like he came from a mindset.
But your dad,
boxing.
Yeah.
Where you would get a call from someone, be like, hey, that third round, I'm thinking third round's a good time to go down, okay? All right, bye. That sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
So that was in his head that I don't want anybody taking advantage of these kids, that they, for betting purposes or whatever, you take a fall or stuff like that. That's what he thought, just because that was, that's what happened for the 50 years before that, where you had some shady characters, involved in boxing.
Interesting.
So there was that part, and then I also got involved in business. So I was like, I had an apartment building, right? And it started, 2 units, got paid a couple bucks from the units, and I'm like, why would I have to fight? I didn't get hit once, and I get paid every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was that too. I was like, okay, I would only fight for money, right? Now I do it for free and train and do all that, put my body at risk still for zero, but just because I love it. But yeah, so I took a different route in that way. Did I want to do it? Heck yeah. But I also had to keep in mind my injuries.
Also,
my pelvis.
Yeah.
If I do too many kicks with my right leg, I'll feel weird,
A blessing in disguise then, huh?
Yeah.
Because you could, all the people you've helped over the years.
Yeah, as long as I get to play in the gym, I'm fine.
How many black belts have you guys graduated?
A lot, man. 100 and something black belts over a 20-something year period. And you have to remember the earlier ones were already training 10 years, you know? So a lot.
Like a lot of the guys I started with. Yeah.
So, and then they have black belts.
Right.
Soon their black belts will have black belts.
Right.
It's like generations. It's cool.
Yeah.
So, but the way I see it too, like the lineage is still focused on the street self-defense system, which I love, and that's Elio Gracie. So that's what I wanted. That's what I require. All the black belts have to know. Basically, you see Elio Gracie's book, you need to know the whole thing and be able to perform it from beginning to end. So I think that's, if you consider yourself
a row,
a black belt in that lineage, you should know, the history.
It's important, I think. Well said.
Yeah.
Just because there's all the sports jiu-jitsu stuff and people doing barambolos and stuff like that,
and that's okay.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Yeah.
But like Draclino's like that.
Yeah.
Old school, like you got to know how to fight, man.
Yeah.
Like you got to know how
someone swings on you, and you're you're going to grab their gi.
Yeah.
It's not fighting.
Yeah.
So, so that's
the roots, right? Because that's how it grew. That's why people do it around the world.
Yeah, I mean that's where it stemmed from too, and a lot of the wrestling that I know come from the Gracie self-defense system. So if a person's bullying you this way, you can reverse it in this way. So I have, more or less like a counter wrestling. Someone's going hard here, I can turn it around. So defensive.
I remember when I was fighting MMA, I would there was some self-defense things.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
yeah, you can do this right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially the guillotine.
Amazing, man. What a journey. What a journey from the early days, the literally the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning here was what, 70s here, right?
Right there, or the beginning.
Yeah, but that was the beginning. Like, let's say beginning East Coast. I mean, I don't really know too many other people that were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and I always ask the question because I never assumed that we were like the first group. But I don't. No one's ever, you know, really talked to me about doing it and any earlier. So that was the first club right there in Philly.
Yeah, because Henzo came on later.
Mm-hmm. He actually was in Philly first.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, so he was in Philly. Do you remember Craig Kukoc?
Yes.
So he was like the first American black belt.
Right.
So he was in Philly with us for a little bit teaching.
Oh.
And then Henzo, I think they did something in Philly somewhere.
Okay.
And then I'm pretty sure Henzo got a better deal in New York somehow.
And then they started their first gym in New York after that.
I believe so, yeah.
That's where I first went to train with him, was in there when they were together.
Yeah.
He asked me to bring a laptop to Brazil.
Oh, really?
And I was 18, so I was like, I didn't.
Are you allowed to?
Well, no. When I got there, they're like, "Whose laptop is this?" I was like, "It's my friend's." Instead of saying, "Oh, it's mine."
Oh.
So they took me. They were interrogating me for a couple hours, you know.
I used to go back and forth with jeans. I don't know if you brought jeans down there.
Jeans down there, okay.
So I went there with things I could sell there, and I came back with things I could sell.
Yeah,
in
I
America,
brought
like
back
gis.
gis. Yeah, I would bring back the gis for sure, and that's how I would pay for all my
pay
trips.
for the trips. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, bring the stuff
So
down
funny.
there.
Levi jeans.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got rid of them in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know people like that. Those in the early days when I first went down there.
So funny.
Wow, what a time, huh?
Yeah, I did. I think back sometimes. I'm like, wow, am I insane to do that? But no.
No.
Yeah, I was just being a kid, having
You
fun.
followed your heart.
It's a very unique situation too,
Yeah.
with everything being so young and fresh and exciting, you know, and thinking about like, I'm bringing something cool back to America.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help somebody and, you know, lead someone to a championship or something. So, you know, minimally what we do is, you know, you're enriching people's lives daily. And when I walked in, everyone has a sweat, as everyone's happy, they're leaving. You don't have to win the UFC. You just have to win the day. Get in your car, come here, and actually you know, do it. So
The hardest part, right?
That's the hardest part, and I think that's the most important part. So,
well said. Well, man, it's such an honor, man, that I finally got you here.
It's an honor for me, man. This is awesome. Thank you so
been
much.
on the phone talking, and yeah, I'm gonna be in LA finally after how many years? 20?
Yeah,
24
years.
24 years. 24 years. Looking forward to you getting on the mat with you.
Oh
for
yeah,
a few
yeah.
minutes
We'll see some moves, and yeah, we'll have fun.
Yeah, you're gonna go see Hagen, right?
We're gonna see Hagen this afternoon.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're making a bunch of stops, so it'll be fun.
Awesome. Thank
All
you,
right,
brother.
man. Thank you so much.
Thank
bro.
you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What's the website for Tatsuti?
Tatsuti.com. So we're shipping West Coast. We're shipping all over America. So grab a case.
Yeah, I will for sure.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Brother. Thank you.